Hi, this is Tutor Buxton. Welcome to Construction Quantity Surveying and Tutoring channel, where we get to learn quantity surveying skills in a manner that is so much in-depth and in a manner that is appreciated by so many of you. For the new viewers to this channel has been doing what we call the quantity surveying items right from the start. That is from the beginning, including the rules of estimation. For what we've been using more so is called standard methods of measurements, and going forward we've been measuring on that so that we cover various aspects of the quantity surveying, including drawing interpretations, including preparation of a summary of the rules, which we also discussed in depth. And today, just marking the second episode, where we started doing what we call preparation of the bills of quantities. In the preparation of bills of quantities, we started from scratch, in that when you've just been provided with a plan, how do you move forward even if you don't have enough skills or you don't have background in quantity surveying? How do you move forward so that you prepare a proper bills of quantities from that point? Because this channel is geared towards ensuring that whoever has a background in quantity surveying if you have background in quantity surveying, you get better in what you know, and there are few ideas that you might not be knowing. For those who don't have a background in quantity surveying, can also catch up and be able to prepare this important document that enables those who want to build, or the developers, to have a proper budget that they'll use to make what we call to construct their buildings. So this particular document is very, very crucial, and that is why from our previous session we started with a very, very blank Excel document. And I want to appreciate those many of you who have shown very, very deep interest in knowing how to prepare this document. The inquiries have been so immense, and I really appreciate, because we're just looking forward to making each other better in this particular field. There are those who are wondering whether we'll be taking off. I saw that from the previous video. You inquired that, and I want to tell you that from this particular drawing we are going to take it off, prepare the bills of quantities till it's completed. So from what we started, we had the blank bills of quantities, and from that particular blank bills of quantities, the Excel sheet, that is where we started to input all the items that are necessary. So just a little recap that to put into perspective, especially for the new beginners who are getting this channel for the first time. This was a blank sheet, okay, just with the simple basic editing skills of the Excel. From this blank sheet we just opened, and then we started doing the keying in the important aspects of these particular bills of quantities, where we edited so that we just made, from this point actually, we just made what we call the cover page. So from the cover page, it also has to be comprehensive, showing you the title of the project. Apart from the title, the location of the project that you are doing the bills of quantities for. Just denote that this is the bills of quantities. Client, who is your client for this particular project, and also who are the particular consultants who are engaged in this particular project. So the consultants would include the architect, you'll have the structural engineer, the quantity surveyor, and the services engineer. So these are just, and also of course the date, which in most cases it's just vital, or it's just important that you can just use what you call, just use the month. Once you have keyed in the month, and then you are just good to go. So today, without further ado, I would like us to do what we call preparation of the preliminaries. Bills of quantities have got various parts, okay? Just on the side, so that you know, there are various parts actually which I mentioned from our previous session while we were just ending the previous session, in this very important part where we started doing the bills of quantities. So the sections we mentioned, of course, we have the cover page. That is now what made the bulk of our previous session. So from the cover page, which we had made quite comprehensively, and then we go to what we call the preliminaries. So what's the preliminary, or how, what about the preliminary? What is it so important? And then now when you are preparing this document, how do you now make that particular section of the bills of quantities? So normally in my practice, what I normally do, once you have your cover page ready, then you will from today, then you'll notice that our Excel sheet is able to cover what we call, is able to cover the whole Excel, because it's also important that you know these editing skills of the Excel, because this is one of the particular document that you're going to rely on so much in preparing your bills of quantities. So I saw it wise that it's important that you know how exactly to maneuver through this document, this software, so that you are able to make your important editings here and there. So from this Excel, normally after you've done the cover page, I always advise that from the cover page straight away, you can always do insert. So when you want to insert a new sheet, okay, you just click on the plus at the bottom, and then another sheet will come. And even before you leave that, you can make this sheet 1, you can make it have a name, or you just name it. So just double click on it, okay, then it will allow you to edit. And when you want to edit, then you can name this, you can make this to be called cover page, okay, so that you don't make your work so boring. Whoever is going to go through your work on its raw form while it's in Excel sheet is able to know that cover page, this sheet 1 is called, this is cover page, sheet 2 is called so and so, and so on. So this sheet 1 is a cover page. Just double click, then you edit. Then you go to sheet 2. For the sheet 2, you like to name it what we call preliminary. So you just you can name it prelim cover, to mean this is just a cover page for the preliminary. So in this particular sheet, for you to have a demarcation of how this page is going to look like, go to what we call the view, okay. When you go to view, you will have workbook views, okay. So from the workbook views, then you go to page break preview, okay. From the page break preview, you notice that it's going to give you a whole gray sheet. So when you get back to normal, then it will give you a point where that page is that particular page should be ending, noted by that line just adjacent to after the column I. So once you have this, then you can just decide, maybe from the center, just note that this is simply identifying now what is coming next. So this is simply an identification that what you are having next is what we call the preliminaries, okay. So you can always merge these particular sheets, okay. You can merge them, so that you can merge a few of them like that. So just select the way you have done, okay. Then when you go to home, you will get to what we call not font, but then alignment. From the alignment, merge and center. Then from there, then you'll just note that this is now preliminaries, okay. Always make sure that you're using the same font, because you don't want your BQ to be having so many diverse fonts here and there, okay. So just make sure that the font that you're using is similar. If you've forgotten, just get back to your cover page, just note what font did you use, what was the size, and so on. So once you've noted that, so this one was Century Gothic font 11, so that you have the uniformity from one point to the other. So this is a preliminary cover, and then this is preliminaries already. I just want to make this font to be the same font that we've applied at the cover page for the uniformity purposes. So this is named Century Gothic. Yeah, it's easier to use this Excel because it also allows you can search those particular fonts that you want to use. That is font 11, okay. So you can just stick to that, then make it bold, okay. Just control B to make it bold for that particular one, okay. Once you've done so, then you can always have a preview so that you see how that particular page is going to look like. Okay, so it's just crucial that you also check how it's going to be looking like. So when you see this quite well, you will notice how that page, let me see, it's zoomed in, but you can see the preliminaries, and it's only one page at that particular point. So that's a good thing, because you've already seen that your title is going to appear for that particular part. Then as usual, then you introduce another sheet, and that sheet, that is the one that you're going to name now the preliminary. This was just a cover for the preliminaries. Okay, so I want you just to notice that the procedure in which we are following from one point to the other. From one, we did the cover page, we made sure it's fine by also having a preview and checking how it's looking like. Then you go to the preliminaries cover. We've done the cover, just to note that this is the cover for the preliminary, so that you introduce what it's coming next. Okay, and also just before we leave, you'd like to name this to be called section 1. Okay, section 1. Okay, preliminaries. Yeah, you can wish to name it that way, so that just separate it the way you would wish. These are just personal decisions. You can make yours even better. Okay, but then these are just tips of how to go about these particular points. So this is section 1, preliminaries. Then you now go to the preliminaries, where you're now going to have the specific items of the preliminaries. So as usual, just double click on the sheet, and then you name it preliminaries. Okay, and I told you that preliminaries in the Bills of Quantities is quite vital, in the sense that you will need, there are those items, you remember when we touched on it previously, there are those items that we said you won't be having them, or you won't be having to measure them directly as builders work, or as services, or as external works. But then those particular sets of items are going to be crucial in helping you, or the contractor, or whoever is going to undertake the work, to do that particular job. And of course, as a quantity surveyor, it's your interest that you notice every item that is going to be cost implicative, so that it's noted. And these preliminary items are cost implicative. They are going to attract some cost at the end of the day, that is going to be borne either on the contractor or on the client. Okay, and basically these items just they help you to carry out the work at large. We've already introduced our sheet for preliminaries. You go to the view tab. Okay, then you also do the same thing that we did. Just go to page break, preview, then you get back to normal, so that you have a demarcation of your page. Okay, how your pages are going to be looking like. So when you check again at the edge, just beside the eye, you will notice there is that demarcation. Okay, so from this point, this is where now you start to arrange your work. You start to introduce the borders, then you start to have the sections. Normally in preliminaries, you don't have the four columns that you will have when you're doing the builder's work, or all those other items that are going to include the rates, okay, the quantity, and the amount. In this case, normally you will have what you call, at this point, I always prefer to have what we call item. Okay, in this item, this is basically the row where you'll be getting the numbers, maybe 01, 02, 02, 03, and so on, those particular numbers of your items. Okay, then when you go to the next column, you're going to have what we call description. So description is constant. You will find it even now for the other set of the items that you're going to have for the rest of the other sections, including the builder's work and so on. At the description point, this is where you'll be having to describe those particular items. Okay, you'll be able to describe, for instance, you've talked about security, who's to provide security, and then straight away from the description, then they will go to the third column. Okay, so you can always have what we call the amount. So in this case, it's not always necessary or mandatory that you have the row for the rate, the row for quantity, the row for unit, and the row for the unit and the rate, because straight away from this point you will be basing your point on description to make to give the amount at the final point, and then now you will be having at the very last point where you'll be having those totals, so the summations for every particular bit as you go on. Well, so once you've included the 3 columns, the item, description, and amount, that should just be sufficient for this section called preliminaries, and I've explained the reasons as to why this should just be enough. So I would recommend that from this point identify your font straight away, so that as you will be stretching the items, you won't be having items stretching beyond the page. So once you have that, just make your font, go there, make it go to Century Gothic. That is the one that we are using today. Then this is still font 11 for this case, and that is okay. So this part is going to be having basically the numbers, that is 001, maybe 02, okay, and so on. Once you have that, and then you go to this is description, and then your amount should be at the end, okay, that is description, item, description, and then amount. So from this point you've now identified the three columns. In most cases, I also recommend that you insert another row above. Just highlight, okay, just highlight. I would like us to, as we move on with this particular set of descriptions, or explanation, you also learn your editing skills of Excel, so that once you are good with this, the Excel, you are also good with the preparation of the Bills of Quantities, so that you take those 2 items hand in hand. So just highlight that point, that particular row, then right click, then insert, okay. So when you insert, another row is going to appear at the top. So the reason I've inserted this particular row is that I want this row to be merged, okay. Just get back to alignment, merge. After you've merged, just make an equal sign, so that you come back here and have this title selected, okay. It's saying spell because of that particular range, so you make that quite well. So in this point, what I've just done, I've just inserted a row at the top of this every page in this manner, okay. So once I have this, then I've made an equal sign, so that what this particular cell, the content of this particular cell is equal to the content of the cell at cover page A01, okay, cover page A01. So that is the content that I've equal to what I want to be in this point. So let me just show that again, equal to this particular item. And then when it's telling you spell, because there are more than 2 rows that are involved, so just delete that 1 point, and then you have it there, okay. So that one is looking quite good, but because we are here to save each other's time, and you want to have those particular hacks that are going to help you move even faster, once you have that, I won't wish to repeat all this job for all the pages that I have, or all the pages that are going to be for this particular work. So what I'll do, I'll edit this particular page quite properly, and that editing that I mean includes one, let me just confirm, okay, you can see that our page is still at the extent, that particular line, so I want it to be at that particular point, okay. So what I'll do is this, I'll make sure that this is a description, this is item, Okay, and then after that, what I'll do is just highlight this one properly this way up to the end of the first page. This is the end of the first page. Okay, I'm relying on that particular demarcation line to identify where the pages are going to be, or how the pages are going to be when I make the final printout. Then from this point I go to what we call you highlight everything and then you right click. Okay, then go to format cells. When you format your cells, then you will see this. Okay, this is the dialog box. It's already at the border, so just select. You can select the line that you want here. There are a number of them that you need, but then I'll just go for the simple thin line at that particular point there. Okay, then I do that. So this one is then if you do one between the text, okay, there is an option of doing it there, but I don't want my bills of quantities to be having so many lines in between. Okay, so basically I just need one vertical lines, the 3 of them. These are the ones at the edges. Those are now the external lines, and then I also have just one. So this one is going to serve me for then you do an OK, click an OK. So that is going to serve me for all the vertical lines. So I have at the ends, in between the text, and also I include another one here. When you do this, if you highlight that way, then you don't need to now go right click and go to the main dialog box. Instead, while you've highlighted that, then just go to font. You will find a shortcut option of doing your editing. You only go to the main one if you have to include so many lines that are involved in your editing. But if you just have a few, like for what I have, just highlight that particular row, go to font, then I need a line at the bottom, so just go to bottom border. Okay, bottom border from that dialog box, click on bottom border, it comes. So you have that. Okay, while you have that indicated quite well, then you can just make your document look better, or you can leave it just as it is, the plain work. Okay, or plain titles and the cover as it's looking like. At the bottom here, this is where we are looking forward to having a summary for our bills. Okay, for our bills of every page. So what you'll do, you'll always need to have what you call, you can just also make another line at the top of this. So just have a top border. Okay, from the font, go to this particular item, which I believe you can see. Then you make a top border. Of course, at the bottom there is already a border at that particular point. All right, so you can make this bottom border for this particular page, or every page. You can make it to have a double underline border. So there is an option where when you get to font and then that the borders settings, then you can pick what we call, there is a top and a bottom double border. You can pick on that, so that at this point where you are having the summary for every page, you can have that particular top and double bottom. Okay, so in this point you'll be having what you call, you can always have what you call at this point you can have carried to collection. Okay, what that simply means is that whatever collection that you're going to have for every page, you can always, whatever total that you're having for every page, so you can just name it total carried to collection. So this is going to be collection for particular preliminaries. You can have, okay, you will be having two different sections. You're going to have particular preliminaries and what we call general preliminaries. Those ones will be divided in that particular in those particular way. Of course, you are going to see what particular preliminaries mean and general preliminaries mean for every particular for every part. So we've done so. We've already annotated that this is going to be total carried to collection. Okay, total carried to collection. So just to be even more specific, you can note that this is total carried to collection for particular preliminaries, because this is the one that we are going to start with. So you can also state that this is total carried to particular preliminaries. Okay, so that tells you what we have at the first bit in this point. This is preliminaries at point 1. Okay, that is now the first item. We are going to have what we call particular preliminaries. Okay, so as we move on, I also take the opportunities to explain what each of the items imply to. Particular preliminaries, now these are now preliminaries that are very, very unique to that particular project, including items like location. They are just specific for that particular project, while general preliminaries will be found in almost every project. So it's general. Just from the word that general, you can apply those particular sets of preliminaries to any other project that you are willing to undertake or quote for. So that is how that is applied. So we have particular preliminaries. I was forgetting, we can make these to be bold. Okay, can make those ones to be bold, and then we can also make this 1 point to be bold. Well, so we already have, this is total carried to collection for preliminaries, and then we also make this to be bold. Okay, that way. Yes, so you'll notice that as time goes, as you'll be entering the items one by one, you'll be seeing the pages, maybe it overlaps to the next page. As long as it goes past these lines that you're seeing here, then it means it has skipped the page, and it will be appearing in a way that it's going to be split, or different columns are going to be scattered. So when you notice that, just make sure that you edit it and return it to the best shape that you'd like it to be. Okay, so we have this already, and for this part, this is where we are going to be having what we call the sum, because we are going to be having those particular figures for every item. There are those that are going to attract what we call prizes, and then there are those that are not going to be having any prizes. You will notice that as we enter those items into preliminaries. So nevertheless, because you are always at liberty to price anything that you'd wish, okay, if you're a contractor, but then now at this point, now you can always have what you call the sum. Okay, so for the sum of every page, just have an equal sign. Okay, equal sign on that cell where you want the sum to be, and then as long as you've started typing what we call the sum, it will pop out. The options, different options will come to that mini dialog box that you're seeing there. Then just double click. When you double click that, then it gives you now the option to give a range of which scope or which extent of the cells you'd want to be adding as you go on. So in this case, I would like to add all the items that are appearing here, okay, up to this point. Then you just close and you enter or click OK in that particular manner. So it means all the items that you have in this particular from that extent are going to be added. So any figure that you put in place, maybe 2, you will see that 2 is going to be reflected there. If you put any 3 or any other figure, it's going to be added at this point. But good for us, today we are not going to just be entering any figure randomly. We are going to be using those items that are going to attract costs, in the sense that those that won't attract cost, then it means there is nothing to be priced at that particular point. That said, we've already done the formula there. I also like that at this column column C, I want to make it a number so that you will be going to be having automatically. If you make it, I would like you to notice the difference. For instance, when you have 1000, okay, reading figures that are not separated, that are not having separators, it looks is not very okay, in the sense that you won't notice. For instance, when you have a figure that is having, like, it's so difficult to read, right? You look at it, you will have to count how many zeros you have there and so on, and you don't want your work to be giving people hard time, of course yourself and the rest of the readers who are going to rely on your work for one reason or another. So you'd wish that you have a particular work that is so well explanatory from the onset. Somebody is able to see that at this particular point this is what you mean, and it's able to communicate easily in the shortest time possible. So that is my wish, my recommendation, and I'm certain that you would like that too. So you have that, for instance, you have that particular figure. I want to make it as a number, okay? When you want to make it as a number, go to still at home. Of course, sure you can still see that presentation. Dialog box, the tab is home, then you go to number, then have it that particular comma style. So that comma style comes with an automatic format 1000 separator, okay? So you have it at that point. And of course, because this is money, you'd wish it to have those provisions for the cents at that particular point, okay? So you have that. You have it noted in that particular point. You have, of course, I'll have to delete it because we are going to enter the actual figures and see how that is going to play at the end of the day. So we have that, we have all that indicated, and all the figures have been shown, okay? So the next thing that I will do is that I also don't want, of course, you will need to make allowance for the subsequent pages, in the sense that you will want there are some items that are going to be repetitive. Items like this particular title is going to be repetitive going forward for the rest of the pages that you are going to fill. Also, items at row number 2 are also going to be repetitive, okay? So when they are repetitive, then you just don't want to waste more time by doing it so often. So for every page you have to key in those items. Every page you have to key in those items. That is not very friendly in terms of time. You will just highlight these two, okay? I want this to be repeated for the rest of the pages under what you call the preliminaries. So you just highlight those two. Once you've done so, then you will go to view, then you will see the option. So as I've explained, you wouldn't wish to be repeating all these, the title and also what you have at the first point for every other page. So instead, highlight the two rows, then get to page layout tab, then go to print titles, okay? So when you click on that, a dialog box comes that is going to give you an allowance or the option of selecting what you want. In this case, I want rows to be repeated at the top, so I'll click that point, okay? You can drag this anywhere you wish, then you get back and select what you want. So I want row 1 and row 2 to be repeated for every other page. So once you've selected that, okay, just have your title, that dialog box back, and have okay. So it will be repeated for the rest of the pages that you're going to have. I repeat, I'm saying you want this to be repeated, just highlight these two, get to page layout, then go to print titles. Print titles, you have that option, rows to repeat at top. Then you select get back, select those particular rows, row 1 and row 2, that way. Okay, row 1 and row 2, you have that, okay. It's going to be repeated for the rest of the pages, so we'll just have to see. Of course, at the moment you only have one page, so when there are 2 pages, for instance, you now have 2 pages, you have another item, just for example there, this is also going to be printed. So I just want you to see how that is going. Those are 2 pages. Okay, so you can see that at page 1 you have the titles at that point. Okay, you can see that. Then you go back, you go to page 2, you're still able to see title and what you selected to be repeated. Okay, so that is how easy you can maneuver through that repeating of the titles on every page. So every page you are going to have that repeated. You don't have to repeat typing it and so on. So that saves you a lot of pretty time that you can use to do other things, or fast track doing your builds of quantities. So we have this already in place. We already have particular preliminaries. So the next item is for you to now enter the items that you need. Okay, so what are the items that you would wish to have? So at this point you can always have items. You always use the alphabetical letters to identify the particular items that you need at this part. So this is A, so what do you have as part A? Okay, preliminaries normally have quite a number of items, so many. So it's for you to decide which of these items are crucial for you to include. Okay, of course there is a standard set of items that you'll call now, maybe from what we call a template and so on. But even from the template, there are those items that you as a quantity surveyor, you need to know that this one should be included here, this one should not be included here. Okay, so apart from now the template that has things done for you or in a fixed manner without you having to know or without you having to enter new items, then you as a quantity surveyor, you also need to know that these are what you need to include, these are the items that you need not to include. So you will always have what we call parties. You can have this normally there is no particular format of entering the items at the preliminaries. Okay, so that you have like a fixed manner in which these items should follow each other in a particular order. No, that isn't there. So it's for you to decide which one do you want to bring first, which one do you want to bring next, and so on. Okay, so for instance, we have location to be coming as a particular preliminary item number 1. So what are the items that you'll need to include? Of course, this is basically now you describing now the items to the preliminaries. Okay, so you will just note this site, for instance, the one that we are doing is located in Buxton. Okay, of course the rest of the items are basically you making an elaborate description, but then now as usual we intend to show you those are must included items for every item that you have, of course. So for instance, you have location. So location simply telling you the location of the site. Okay, so such an item is not necessarily going to attract any cost. Okay, this one is not necessarily going to attract any cost, So at that point, any item that is not attracting a cost, of course, at the side of the amount is going to remain blank. Okay, is going to remain blank. So you will also identify now those items that are also must be included in the particular preliminaries. Okay, so we just chant through a few of these items, fill a comprehensive list of particular preliminaries, and also just show you that these and these will attract cost, or these and these have to be priced at the end of the day when we finally get to the very last bit of our coverage, that we are going to take quite a number of sessions, but at the end of the day we shall have exhausted them quite in depth. Talking about the location, so you have to also be quite precise and talk about location of site. Okay, so the site is located in such a place, just you describing exact location where the site is in Buxton, and then you will state that for instance, the contractor shall visit the site and familiarize with the site etc. Okay, so it's you just being elaborate of how you want, where the site is located, and a few instructions of before you price this particular document. Now when you're a contractor, and of course now when you're working from, you are the quantity surveyor yourself, normally you make this document for instance the client, and the client might wish to engage maybe other contractors to have different prices for this particular works. So in that case, you just give precise instructions on in matters regarding location of site. So you have that. Then you see the items here are overlapping to beyond the page. I told you that this is the reference, that particular line. So just click on that particular cell. Once you have done so, get back to home tab. Okay, then alignment, you wrap those particular text so that it's just within the confinement of the cell within that particular page. So you notice that you are making your document to be better as you move on, rather than doing everything that is jumbled up, and then at the end of the day you will now have to start afresh to edit and so on. That I believe is going to be quite of a bigger task to ask. So location of site, we've talked about that. Then we can go to item B and talk about scope of contract. Okay, so scope of contract, basically in this point you just need to describe what are those items, what are now the specific items or specific work items that you need to do for this particular project. So this is basically what you are defining. So scope of contract. So in this case, you'll just give a brief description that this particular work is supposed to be done. Maybe for instance, you just state you'll just describe, for instance, the works include, you can say builder's works. You can also state that it also includes for instance services and external works. Okay, so that is just an example of what you will include. So basically, whoever is handling this document is also able to see that now if we, from this particular extent, we need to do this and this. So builders work maybe for the main building, or maybe if there are also other buildings, so all builders work included, and so on. So once you have all these items included, then you are able to show exactly what needs to be done for that particular particular contract. So that said, I would like to pause this particular session at this point, because there are a number of items that need to be covered in regard to preliminaries, which I promise that we are going to look into them, everything in all, to be exhausted properly, so that from here you can straight away make your bills of quantities from scratch without anything called template and so on. So you will rely on yourself, on the knowledge that you've gained, so that you make a very proper document. That is the goal at the end of the time that we've finished looking at these particular sessions. So once we've done this, I would like to appreciate my viewers, especially the returning viewers, the new viewers as well. For the returning viewers, just keep it right there. You are going to learn these items slowly by slowly. At the end of the day, you shall have learned a full course of quant surveying without a doubt. So just keep it tuned, just have your notifications on. Every day we are going to upload these new videos that are going to bring for you a fresh videos that are including the descriptions, how to make these items, and so on and so forth. So just keep it there. We are going to make it at the end of the day for the course that we've started. Those who are new to the channel and getting it for the first time, I'm quite confident that you've realized that it's worthwhile and you are going to stay into it. Make a subscription, turn on the notifications. So thank you very much. Have a great time as you take on your other activities, till we meet again in our next session, and I believe it's going to be very beneficial to you and to us all. So thank you so much. Please, you can also share so that you spread the knowledge. Knowledge shared is knowledge gained. So I want to say thank you very much till we meet again in our next session. Have a great time. Bye bye.